يا أيها الناس قد جاءكم برهان من ربكم وأنزلنا إليكم نورا مبينا.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. This video will look at the common differences between the Madina Mus'haf and the IndoPak Mus'haf. Both should produce the same results in terms of Qur'anic recitation. However, each one uses a different system of diacritical marks, and this lesson will look at the main differences between the two Mus'hafs, inshaAllah. The Madina script is also commonly known as the Uthmani script. Each page has 15 lines, and the start of each page begins with a new ayah, and the end of each page finishes with the end of an ayah. The most common Madina Mus'haf is the one printed by the King Fahd complex in Saudi Arabia. The IndoPak script is commonly used in India, Pakistan, and South Asia. It's usually found with 13 lines per page. The pages do not necessarily start with the beginning of an ayah or end with an ayah. The IndoPak Mus'haf is also written according to Ar-Rasm al-Uthmani, i.e. the way of the writing at the time of Uthman radiyallahu anhu, but there are differences in dabt, i.e. differences in diacritical marks. So let's now look at the main differences in the way of writing between the two Mus'hafs. So the first difference that we will look at is the difference in the way of writing of Hamzatul Wasl. So a quick recap on the definition of Hamzatul Wasl. Hamzatul Wasl is an extra Hamza found at the beginning of words, pronounced in starting only, and its purpose is to join to a word that begins with sukoon. So in the Madina script, it's always written with the head of a sad above the alif. So this is how Hamzatul Wasl is distinguished from any other Hamza, and even distinguished from an alif. In the IndoPak Mus'haf, the Hamzatul Wasl is always written as an alif. So there's no visual difference between an alif or a regular Hamza or Hamzatul Wasl. All three letters are written in the same form. So you can see the differences in the way of writing between the two. So the Madina script above and the IndoPak script underneath. So the haraka, i.e. the fatha, is written above the first Hamzatul Wasl only, because the reciter is expected to recite from ayahs 1 to 3 in continuation, and that is the reason why the lam alif is found above the ayah sign. So lam alif means do not stop. According to the rules of Tajweed, the reciter can stop at the end of any ayah, as it's a permissible, i.e. jaiz stop, especially if the reciter is reciting slowly and observing the rules of Tajweed. The end of an ayah is a chance to stop and take a breath. Another difference is that the basmala is considered as ayah 1 in the Madina script. So you can see that the basmala has ayah 1 here, and the Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen is written as ayah 2. Whereas in the IndoPak Mus'haf, the basmala has an end of ayah sign, but it's empty, and ayah 1 begins from Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So according to the riwayah of Hafs and Asim min Tariq Shatibiyya, the Basmala is considered as the first ayah of Surah Al-Fatiha. It's considered as part of Surah Al-Fatiha. A second difference is in the way of writing of Mad Badal. The way to recognize Mad Badal is when the Hamza comes before the Mad letter, as in Wal Asali. So the Hamza comes before the Alif. So this Mad is held for 2 harakat and is classed as Mad Badal. In the IndoPak script, the Hamza is written as an Alif on top of the Alif to indicate Mad. In the second example, in Wasal, we have Mad Munfasal Haqiqi on the Alif because the Mad letter has a Hamza following it in continuation. But in stopping, this Mad is held for 2 harakat and is classified as Mad Badal. So the Hamza comes before the Alif. In the IndoPak script, again the Alif is written in the form of the Alif is written instead of Hamza, and the Alif to indicate Mad Munfasil is also written. So you have 2 Alifs written together. In the next 2 examples, so you can see the Hamza is written separately and the Alif is written separately. So the Hamza appears before the Alif in ayatan and al-Qur'anu. In the IndoPak script, the Alif is written instead of the Hamza on top of the Alif. So you have 2 Alifs written to indicate the sign of Mad. A third difference is in the way of writing of Hamza al-Qata'. A quick recap on the definition of this Hamza. It's a regular Hamza which can be found in the beginning, middle or end of words. It can be pronounced in continuation and in starting, and it can take any haraka as well as sukoon. So in the Madina script, this Hamza can be written on a chair, such as in the examples here, al-lu'lu'u, where the Hamza is written on the chair of a waw, and shati'i, where it's written on the chair of a ya, and fabi'ayyi, where it's written on the chair of a alif, or it can be written by itself. This Hamza is generally written as an alif in the IndoPak script, which takes fatha, dhamma, kasra or sukoon. But there are some examples where the Hamza is written on a chair, such as al-lu'lu'u, where the Hamza is written on a waw, and in shati'i the Hamza is written separately. It appears to be written at the end of the ya. And the final Hamza in fabi'ayyi ala'i is written as a Hamza, but in ala'i the Hamza is written as an alif, and in fabi'ayyi the Hamza is written as an alif, the Hamza al-Qata'. The differences can be seen in the 2 scripts here. So in min ahli, the Hamza al-Qata' is written on an alif with a fatha in the Madina scripts, and in the IndoPak scripts it's written as an alif with a fatha on it. The same with imanikum and anfusihim. In ya'ti Allahu, the Hamza is written here as an alif with a sukoon on it, whereas in the Madina script the Hamza is written on an alif with a sukoon on it. Bi amrihi is written as an alif. Inna is written as an alif. Wa aqimu is written as an alif. So in general, you'll find that the Hamza al-Qata' is generally written in the form of an alif, which can take a fatha, dhamma, kasra or sukoon in the IndoPak script. The next difference is in the way of writing of silent letters. So a silent letter is a letter which is not pronounced in the rasm, in the way of writing. So all silent letters in the Madina script carry a sifr, and the sifr which it carries is called sifr mustadir, which is different to the sifr which is found on the 7 alifs, which is a type of mad tabi'i, where the the alif is pronounced in stopping only, and that sifr is called mustatil. So all silent letters carry a sifr, which is called mustadir, such as in the words ulaika and sa'urikum. So when a waw is found after a hamza with dhamma, it's often written as a silent letter, as in ulaika and sa'urikum. Also, when a ya is found after a hamza with a kasra, it can be written as a silent letter, as in wa mala'ihi and min naba'il mursalin. And the waw jama'a is also found with an alif after it, which is a silent alif, as in wa dhannu and qalu. So the waw jama'a is a plural waw. And here in wala tay'asu, the first alif is silent alif, and the second alif, also found after the waw jama'a, is also silent alif. So both letters are silent letters which are not pronounced. In the IndoPak script, only certain letters carry a sifr, and some are written without the sifr, so they must be learnt. So for example, in sa'urikum and ulaika, there's no sifr on the waw to indicate that this is a silent letter and it's not pronounced. So the reciter needs to learn that these letters are silent letters and not pronounced. In wa mala'ihi, you see the sifr, and in naba'il mursalin, you'll see that the sifr is written on the alif, whereas in the IndoPak script it's written on the ya. So there's a sifr written on the alif in both places, in mala'ihi and in the Madina script it's written, the sifr is written on the ya. So the silent letter here is ya, here the silent letter is alif. And the waw jama'a in the IndoPak script is not followed by a silent letter. So the alif here looks like any other alif, such as in hada. So the reciter needs to learn that these alifs are silent after waw jama'a, and they are not pronounced. And also in wala tay'asu, the alif here doesn't have a sifr, and also the alif after waw jama'a does not have a sifr. So the reciter needs to know that both of these letters are silent letters and are not pronounced. The next difference is in the way of writing of mad letters. In the Madina script, all mad letters do not carry a visible sukoon sign, and the reason for this is to distinguish them from the Maleen letters, which do carry a sukoon sign. And in the IndoPak script, all mad letters carry a sukoon sign, and all lean letters carry a sukoon sign. So there's no way of distinguishing the mad letter from a lean letter in the IndoPak script. So for example, in nuhiha, the waw is madiyya, the ya is madiyya, the alif is madiyya. All three letters do not have a sukoon sign, whereas the ya here is a lean letter, it's ya layina, and the sukoon sign is visible. So the mad letters are differentiated to the lean letters. Whereas in the IndoPak script, all letters, mad letters and lean letters, carry a symbol sign, a sukoon sign. So the ya layina has a sukoon on it, visible. The ya madiyya has a visible sukoon, and the waw madiyya has a visible sukoon. The next difference is in the way of writing of matsila. So a quick recap of the definition of matsila. So matsila is special for hal kinaya. Hal kinaya is the third person singular masculine pronoun. So this mad is found in continuation only, and it's connected to waw madiyya and ya madiyya. So in the Madina script, the waw madiyya or the ya madiyya are always written in the minor form, whereas in the IndoPak script, an upside down dhamma above the hal kinaya indicates waw madiyya, and an alif indicates the ya madiyya written beneath the hal kinaya. So in the following examples, we have wa mra'atuhu. So here we have matsila sughra in wasal. So we have the waw madiyya written in its minor form, So the mad is connected to wa madiyya here because the hal kinaya carries a dhamma. And here we have the upside down dhamma written above the hal kinaya to indicate matsila sughra in wasal, 2 harakat. In the next example, yu'minuna bihi. So here the hal kinaya carries a kasra, therefore the mad is connected. Connecting mad is ya madiyya. So the ya madiyya is written in its minor form. So it's matsila sughra, 2 harakat in wasal only. And here in the IndoPak script, the alif is written beneath the hal kinaya to indicate ya madiyya, 2 harakat in wasal. In the next example, we have matsila kubra in wasal. The reason of matsila kubra is the hamza in the following word. So the way that the matsila sughra and matsila kubra are distinguished in the Madina Mus'haf is by the squiggly line written above the mad letter. So this squiggly line indicates matsila kubra, and here if there's no squiggly line it indicates matsila sughra. Whereas here there's no indication that this is matsila kubra, and it looks the same as this one, which is matsila sughra, even though it's followed by hamza in the next word. The next example gives me an indication of why there's no mad sign written, squiggly line written here. So in the next example, in wasara bi ahlihi anasa. So in this example, we have the squiggly line written above the hal kinaya in the IndoPak script. So it could be because we have a stop sign here, which is the ta, which gives the which indicates that the reciter is expected to stop, and therefore there's no not do any mad in continuation. But in the Madina script, we also have a stop sign jim, but the jim is a jaiz stop, which gives the reciter the choice to either stop or to continue. So whether he's stopping or continue, the reciter has the sign there of mad to remind him that there is mad of 4 counts here in continuation. And I often see that people who are memorizing Qur'an or memorized Qur'an, they often continue on the stop signs, especially the jaiz stop signs, because it aids in memorization. So for example, if we were to read this ayah in continuation in Surah Al-Qasas 32, it would be read as فَذَانِكَ بُرْهَانَانِ مِنْ رَبِّكَ إِلَى فِرْعَوْنَ وَمَلَئِهِ إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا قَوْمًا فَاسِقِينَ. So the last difference that we're going to look at is the rules of ghunna, the way of writing of the rules of ghunna between the 2 scripts. And personally, I find this one of the most confusing differences between the 2 scripts. So in the Madina Mus'haf, in the Madina script, the idgham and ikhfa are marked with a sliding tanween, and the noon and the mim sakina will not have a visible sukoon symbol above them. And the sign of idhar is a visible sukoon symbol on the noon or the mim. And the second letter in idgham naqis, in incomplete idgham, will not carry a shadda. Whereas in the IndoPak script, there's no difference between idgham, ikhfa, and idhar, and there's no difference between a complete idgham and incomplete idgham. So in the following examples, we have a noon sakina followed by a ya. So in the Madina script, the way that idgham is marked is that the letter that is being merged, either mudgham, will be empty, i.e. without a sukoon symbol, and the following letter will have a haraka. So this is a sign of idgham in the Madina script, that when the first letter is empty and the second letter carries a haraka, it's a sign of idgham or ikhfa, except with the mad letter, because the mad letters are also found without the sukoon symbol. So we have idgham, incomplete idgham here between the noon and the ya. Here the noon sakina in the IndoPak script carries a sukoon symbol, and the ya also carries a shadda. So there's a difference between the way of writing of idgham naqis, incomplete idgham, between the two scripts. So the way of writing of dhamma tanween in the Madina script is that when we have idgham or ikhfa, then the dhamma tanween is written as it is above the ra, like this. And when we have idhar, then the dhamma tanween is written as it's written above the ayn. So one of the dhammas will be upside down above the other. So this is a sign of either idgham or ikhfa, and this is a sign of idhar. So when teaching a child or a new student of Tajweed, then it's easy to tell them about the visual signs of when to pronounce 2 counts of gunna and when not to pronounce 2 counts of gunna. Whereas in the IndoPak script, both dhamma tanweens look exactly the same. So this is idgham between the tanween and the waw, and it's idgham naqis, incomplete idgham, but the waw carries a shadda. And this is idhar, so they both look exactly the same. So the reciter would need to know the rules of idgham to apply this, the rules of idgham and ikhfa and idhar, to apply the rules here in the recitation. So here, this is another example of incomplete idgham between the ta and the ta. So the ta is empty, which is a sign of idgham, and the ta has a haraka but without shadda, which is a sign of incomplete idgham. So this is incomplete idgham naqis in the Madina script. Whereas in the IndoPak script, the ta has a sukoon symbol, and the ta is written with a shadda. So the reciter would need to know that this is idgham between the ta and the ta, and it's incomplete idgham. So in the Madina script, there's a visible difference between the way of writing of the fatha and the kasra tanween. So when we have idhar, then you will find that the fatha tanween or the kasra tanween will not be sliding as in the example above the dal. So this is idhar of the noon of tanween, and when the tanween is sliding, we either have idgham or ikhfa. So this is an example of idgham, incomplete idgham between the tanween and the waw. And in the IndoPak script, both fatha tanweens look exactly the same. So this is idhar and this is idgham. And again, idgham naqis here carries a shadda. In the next examples, so when the noon sakina has a visible sukoon, or the meme sakina has a visible sukoon, then this is the sign of idhar in the Madina script. So here you can see the difference between the two noon sakinas. So on this noon sakina, there's no visible sukoon. So here we would apply the rules, the gunna of 2 counts, and here we would not apply gunna of 2 counts. So this is the rule of idhar, and this is the rule of idgham with 2 counts of gunna between the noon and the meme. So it's complete idgham between noon and meme, and the idgham is complete. The sign of complete is the shadda above the meme. And again here there's the idgham between the meme sakina and the meme, and the sign of complete idgham is the shadda on the meme. Whereas here in the IndoPak script, both noons look exactly the same. So the reciter would need to know that we have idhar here, and we have 2 counts of gunna here, and the same with wa arjuluhum min. So the reciter would need to know that this is idgham, complete idgham with 2 counts of gunna. So there's a strong visible difference between the rules of gunna between the Madina script and the IndoPak script. So to summarize what we've looked at today, Both the Madina script and the IndoPak script use the way of writing of the time of Uthman. The differences are in the diacritical markings. So one of the main differences is in the way of writing of Hamza. So in the IndoPak script, the Hamza al-Wasl, the Hamza al-Qata', the Alif, and a silent Alif will all be written as an Alif. And there's a clear difference in the silent letters. Some are written and some are not, so the reciter needs to know which letters are pronounced and which letters are not pronounced. There's a difference in the mud letters. In the IndoPak script, there's no differentiation between the lean letters and the mud letters. They all carry a sukoon sign, whereas in the Madina script, the mud letters do not carry a sukoon symbol. There's a difference between matsila, the way of writing of matsila in both scripts, and one of the main differences in the rules of idgham, the rules of nun sakina and tanween, so the rules of idgham, ikhfa, and idhar. So if you start to begin learning Tajweed using a Madina script, then there is an advantage of many visual signs to make learning and applying Tajweed easier. A reciter would have to know the rules of Tajweed very well if they were reading with an IndoPak mushaf in order to apply them correctly without the prompts of visual aids and visual signs, such as differences between nun sakina when the nun has idhar or when the nun has idgham. I pray that you have benefited from today's lesson. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
وأن أتلو القرآن فمن اهتدى فإنما يهتدي لنفسه ومن ضل فقل إنما أنا من المنذرين